And we are staying on top of the Trump transition back into the White House. Today, former Congressman Matt Gaetz announced that he has no plans to rejoin Congress. That decision comes after he withdrew his name from consideration to be President-elect Donald Trump's Attorney General amid sexual misconduct allegations. NBC 10 political commentator Sue O'Connell joins me now. Sue, what are your thoughts on this replacement, former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi? I mean, what is Trump looking for in an Attorney General?
Well, Matt, loyalty. That's the number one quality Trump wants in everyone around him, and not loyalty to the truth or loyalty to the Constitution, loyalty to him. Now, by an objective, non-political measure, except for the election denial, Pam Bondi is a qualified candidate for Attorney General. And look, she has demonstrated loyalty to Trump by contesting the results of the 2020 election, defending him in the impeachment proceedings, and attending the business fraud trial where he was convicted. And she has been his media surrogate in a number of places, right? He expects her to bring his view of how the Justice Department should be run. I got to say, though, it's very surprising to me that she wasn't his first choice for AG.
I think many would agree with you there. Interesting to choose Gaetz first and foremost and then pivot over to Bondi. But of course, we know this is not the only nomination that's been put forward by the president-elect. Of the other three candidates who are sparking controversy, we're talking about Pete Hegseth for Defense, Tulsi Gabbard for Chief of Intel, and RFK Jr. for Health and Human Services. So which one do you believe will make it through the confirmation process, and who may wind up like Matt Gaetz in all of this?
I don't think any of these three are going to make it through unless there is a recess appointment. Look, the Republicans do not want to spend the first days of this Trump presidency, even the unofficial part, talking about, in the case of Gabbard, a Republican who has defended Russia, Syria, and Iran, or talking anymore about allegations of sexual assault or impropriety. That, of course, in the case of Hegseth, the alleged one, and Kennedy, what he's admitted to. And look, additionally, for Kennedy, he's pro-choice. The Republicans are not pro-choice. And he is anti-big food, which you could agree with, except those food corporations are known as major donors for the Republicans, and that may scare Republicans away from not supporting his nomination. So I think that's going to be 0 for 3.
All right, let's bring this back closer to home. The presidency wasn't the only big item for Massachusetts voters to weigh in on this year. Ballot questions also took center stage, including a measure allowing State Auditor Diana DiZoglio to audit the state legislature, which passed overwhelmingly. You and I spoke with her this morning for this weekend's edition of At Issue. Here's how she's framing what comes next in all this.
So this just adds the legislature to the long list of what we already audit. There should be no changes to question 1. This is not a disagreement with the Office of State Auditor anymore. This is what the voters voted for, and it is now law. So I'm calling on the legislature to follow the law.
So let's ask the obvious question here, Sue. When does the audit actually begin?
That's a great question, Matt. So when a ballot question is passed by the voters, depending on the question, there's a process. In this instance, lawmakers get to tinker with it, get to tinker with the language, and I think you know this. If the lawmakers make any significant change to this law, it will be a full-fledged political war on Beacon Hill with the auditor, Diana DiZoglio, and voters on one side and the entrenched, usually unopposed lawmakers on the other. So I think we should just fasten our seatbelts for a very interesting 2025 when it comes to audits. Who knew?
I know, right? Of all things. Well, never a dull moment in Massachusetts politics. Sue O'Connell, thanks for your commentary and insight. Of course, you can join myself, Corey Smith, and Sue O'Connell for At Issue this Sunday. It airs at 11:30, immediately following Meet the Press right here on NBC 10 Boston.